B1, welcome to BlackLogic. Today we're going to speak about a lot of different topics that I think you guys may well know want to be interested in. And this first part of this broadcast is going to be dedicated to my non-Black subscribers, my non-Black listeners, because I think we need to build a foundation in order for people to understand, not that they need to attach themselves to our plights and to the things that we need to do and put ourselves in the right position, but I want to build this foundation up from the very top. So with that being said, there's a couple of things that I think we need to pay attention to right now. In 1526, Spanish explorers brought enslaved Africans to the Carolinas, which is now the U.S. The Africans escaped, which is considered the first recorded slave revolt in North America. Now you see that this particular history is probably not well known to most of you people. And the reason for that is because we stick with the date of 1619. But the first so-called slaves came over in 1526. And the reason why I'm establishing this, because I think it's important to build a foundation for people to understand that we are foundational Black Americans and why we don't call ourselves African Americans, because before 1526, even dating back to 1503, there were native Blacks who were already here prior to slave ships bringing them to Americas with the so-called red Mongolian looking type people. And this history is important so you understand that Black people not only came to this land on slave ships, but they were already here prior to that. And if you want to know more, you have to dig into your own, dig into American history in general. And the reason why I'm pointing this out is because we can get away from the term of African American as well as us being immigrants. Aren't you tired of guys? Are you tired of people believing that Black Americans, as they would say, African Americans, who are the descendants of slaves, are immigrants? They tell us to go back to our own country. What is our own country is the question. Our country is America. We were here prior to the establishment of America being released from British rule, 1776, July 4th. So this is our country's 100 years past. It's almost like stating you're telling someone who's non-Black, who's maybe generations and descendants are from Europe or from Asia, go back to your country. But you've been here for 100 years as well. So this is the foundation that we need to build this mutual agreement upon so we all understand one another, because there's many stories that tell people that before 1619, of those 20 Angolian enslaved Africans going to Virginia, there was 100 slaves brought to South Carolina along with Spanish conquistadors. And of course, there's much history here for you guys to dive into. We're just going to highlight a couple of things here. African and transatlantic slave trade. We won't be here long. As I stated before, the Spanish took the first African captives to the Americas from Europe as early as 1503, and by 1518, the first captives were shipped directly from Africa to America. So of course, verify your source, but here's the information. Africa's economy. I want you guys to listen to this because I'm gonna move on. I'm not staying here long. Africa's economy and social development before 1500 may arguably have been ahead of Europe's. It was gold from the great empires of West Africa, Ghana, Mali, and Songhai that provided the means for the economic takeoff of Europe in the 13th and 14th centuries and arose in interest of Europeans in West Africa. In the 14th century, the West African Empire of Mali was larger than Western Europe, and it was reputed to be one of the most powerful states in the world. So I know now Africa doesn't look like this powerful nation, and I'm not getting on the cake with Africa in general and all the things they sold out their people to, colonization, etc. I'm just going to stick to the truth here. And we're moving very quickly in this first part, family, because we got to get to Joe Biden. We got to get to illegal immigration, but there's some things I must point out. There's some things that I must cover and educate people who are not, familiar with our history here in America. We're talking about foundational Black Americans, U.S. freedmen, American descendants of American slavery, not people who came over later, not people who are from Africa who got their American citizenship. No, We're talking about this is where our lineage is. And since this is Black History Month, there's some things I just want to cover very quickly, because as people may not think that Black Americans have contributed to society, we have. And this history is not taught in our schools. The only thing that non-Black people get in their schools, and some Black people, especially if you live in Washington State and Oregon, is George Washington Carver and Martin Luther King. Well, let me tell all of you guys, we have a vast history. It's very powerful. And we're not going to, as I told you before, we're combing through this to build the foundation here so you guys understand. Okay, and we're not going to go through this whole list. There's another list we have up here. We're going to just comb out a couple of things that I want you guys to see what we have done. The invention of chairs, the super soaker, the 3-light traffic signal, refrigerated truck, automatic elevator doors, color monitors for desktop computers, the modern ironing board, the clothes wringer, blood banks, laser treatment for cataracts, home security system. Shout out Marion Van Brown. Okay, and we just, as I told you before, free Black citizens could obtain patents from the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, but enslaved Black people could not. So who you think took credit of all their inventions and innovations? They're slave masters. Slavery wasn't abolished until 1865 with the adoption of the 13th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. Prior to that, the inventions of Black innovators were often claimed by their enslavers or other white people. This is the part of the history that we all must know. This is the part of the history that we all must know. And this, I'm just pointing out a couple of things here, like this gentleman here, Lonnie Johnson. He created the super soaker. And what a lot of people don't know about Lonnie Johnson is that he worked for NASA as an engineer. And that's what he kind of came up with the idea, essentially. I just want to show you a few people who you may not be aware of, like Dr. Patricia Bath. Okay, she invented a device and a technique to prevent and counter cataract during surgery. It states here, Black inventors were also less involved in patenting activity between 1870 and 1940 during times of lynchings, race riots, and segregation laws in the U.S. Okay? We're just combing through here very quickly. And here's a piece I want to point out. It stated that definitely the Smithsonian and other library museums have been complicit over decades, over the centuries, of privileging white inventors in the things that we collect, says Hintz. We have a ton of stuff on Edison and Tesla and Steve Jobs, innovator of Apple products and devices, and whomever. But it's incumbent on us now to make sure that we're preserving the stories of Madam C.J. Walker, Grandmaster Flash, Lonnie Johnson, okay, Patricia Bath, ophthalmologist who invented a way of eradicating cataracts. Black people also invented all these other things, peanut butter that you guys know of, potato chips, you know, which I'm getting off my addiction of potato chips. I had an addiction of potato chips, but getting off my addiction of potato chips. It's hard, family. It's hard. But we're going to move into a new sector here because I think this is going to be very important information we're going to go over this evening. Okay. And I had all these things set up for you guys, but of course, anytime it refreshes on me. It refreshes on me. That's okay. We won't get started, family. Because when we talk about illegal immigration, and a lot of us are not understanding how this was planned by the Biden administration. I'm jumping right into it, family. Feet first. Feet first. Now, as we stated, we got the ground history, but there's another element right before I get to illegal immigration. There's another element that I must cover. It's called white supremacy. Someone in the comment section I was reading today was talking about they don't know what white supremacy is. And white supremacists didn't just sit around twiddling their thumbs, okay? They were out there creating laws in America, systems designed to keep Black folks oppressed, Black people oppressed. Take a look at the Jim Crow laws. These were a series of laws enacted in the late 19th and earlier centuries that legalized segregation and discrimination against Black people. We're talking about separate schools, separate bathrooms, separate water fountains, all because of the color of your skin. And I'm not saying integration is the key, family. Don't get me wrong. Black first, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying integration is the key. I'm not stating that. We're teaching some of our audience here what white supremacy is. But not just the segregation on public facility. It doesn't stop there. Let's talk about the destruction of thriving Black communities. Because everybody wants to tell Black folk, lift yourself up by your bootstraps. But when we say, what about the things that occurred in history? What about the atrocity? What about the destruction of towns? What about the destruction of cities? What about killing our master teachers? What about killing our foundational Black American family? What about that? Nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to talk about that. We didn't just have one Black Wall Street. We had many Black Wall Street, and they all got destroyed. The only one that's well known is Tulsa, Oklahoma. But in 1919, the Red Summer, I've been preaching this for years, family. 1919, the Red Summer, this is where sailors came home, white sailors, and started killing and destroying Black cities, Black towns, and Black people. And I don't know why this is, hard. This is very easy history for anyone to look up, but I know a lot of people would like to stay ignorant because it gives them excuses, but we're not going to be ignorant here, are we? Because we had a lot of thriving Black towns. We had Black doctors, Black lawyers, Black clinicians, you name it, we had it. But see, white supremacists couldn't stand to see Black folks thriving. They couldn't stand to see Black folks shining. They couldn't see it. They didn't want to see that. You guys were slaves. We let you guys go free, and now you're doing better than us. And white supremacists came out and burned those towns to the ground. Hundreds and thousands of Black-owned businesses destroyed, families displaced, and of course, murder. Lives were lost. And let's not forget about the countless acts of violence that's perpetrated against Black people throughout history. From lynching to police brutality, white supremacists have used a tool to instill fear and maintain power. I'm not stating that white people don't get instantly shot by the police. I'm not saying it. I'm not saying Asian folk don't innocently get shot by the police. The only thing I'm saying is that it happens percentage-wise more to Black folk than any other people in America. That is what I'm saying. White supremacists has used fear. They have used violence as a tool to instill fear to maintain power. Emmett Till, Trayvon Martin, Breonna Taylor. These are just a few names on a long list of Black lives lost to white supremacist violence. Now, I get it. Some may try to argue that white supremacy is a thing of the past, but we know that's not true. We see it in our institutions, in our justice systems, in our media. It's everywhere. It comes to every fabric of the world. And until we can confront it head on and dismantle it piece by piece, we can't truly achieve justice and equality for anybody. I don't know why we continue to try to steer away. We try to continue to go away from the truth, and we understand this. I know that we understand this. Some people like to ignore that white supremacy exists. We know it exists. We have statistics, we have metrics, and we have stories that are not made up. So that is the foundation, family. We have to first know who the hell we are. We're foundational Black Americans. And when you hear that term over and over again, that our ancestors built this country, don't take offense to it. Don't take offense to it. The truth is the truth. There was no slave masters paving the way and cutting and carving out dirt and structures to build roads and buildings. They just wasn't doing the work. Why do that? And you have an entire class of people at your disposal that will do the work for free. So when we say that America was built on the backs of slaves, and you think these are just ring words or zingers that people are saying, then go do the research. It's plenty of information, but I get it. I get it. We can stay emotional as long as we stay ignorant. We can stay emotional as long as we stay ignorant. One last thing while we're talking about the foundation, who we are, and white supremacy. This is Black History Month. It's Black History Month for me every month. It's history for me every month. It's American history for me every month. So if you don't have any other chance, let's please recognize our brother who has fallen. Rest in power, Carl Weathers. I know you guys are familiar with this brother, also known as Apollo Creed. Unfortunately, he passed away. I just wanted to point that out very quickly. But yeah, family, we have quite a bit to cover here today. And there's some things that we're going to point out here that's going to be very important. So let's get started. Now, we understand what's going on here in America, that illegal immigration was planned. And it was planned by the Biden administration. So let's get some context before, we just start ranting and raving here. We're going to get some context here for people to understand the entire breakdown of things, okay? Let me cue up here. Give me a second, family. Give me a second here. Here we go.
Is voting rolls. In fact, a piece in the New York Times said that they were confused about their eligibility to vote when they went to vote, which is the Democrats' plan. Just get them to vote and then say, hey, I didn't know I couldn't vote, even though I'm illegal. What is going on here, Marshall?
Well, there's actually a systemic issue in North Carolina. Like you said, they're being registered to vote. And not only are they being voted, not only are they voting, but they're getting away with it too, without any accountability. Luckily, Donald Trump put in dogged prosecutors who looked into this issue for years and years, despite pushback by the North Carolina Board of Elections. And what happened is this prosecutor found out how they were getting on the voting rolls and who was getting them on the voting rolls and how they were voting. So he found out that because of what the North Carolina State Board of Elections is calling a technical glitch, they were registering all of these illegal aliens automatically when they were giving them driver's license because they were pre-populating the citizenship question. The only check on motor voter is the citizenship question. That was being pre-populated for these illegal aliens to automatically register when they got their driver's license. And yes, illegal aliens do get driver's license too, unfortunately. So what happened is this prosecutor found out that they were all in the voting rolls, but he could only prosecute a couple dozen of them because the rest of them accidentally registered. And it was an oversight, they claim, but it's like you said, this is the goal of the left for a very long time, to get as many illegal aliens on the voting rolls as possible so they can have them vote down the ballot. And it's key. And what we're doing.
The question is, family, do you guys believe that? Because I do. For some strange reason, why is there millions, 8+ to 10 million illegal aliens, illegal immigrants, illegal migrants inside the country, and the Biden administration is allowing it to happen? And they're stating that these illegal immigrants were on the ballot and voting, and stating they did not know they could not vote, even though they were undocumented, they were illegal, they didn't have a green card, nothing. They were non-citizens. Every term they want to use, let's use it. Non-citizens, undocumented immigrants, whatever they want to say, family. Because here's the thing, if you don't think this is done by design, that I need for everyone to wake up, because it's done by design how this administration has undermined the voting process to keep themselves in power, because they understand that black folk woke the hell up. They understand that black people woke the hell up, and we're no longer just voting down ballot blue, no matter who, Democrat. We're not doing it. No tangibles, no vote.
We're trying to stop it by exposing it.
Who came up with could you go back one slide? Who determined the number 420,987 from the 2020 election? Was that your organization that determined there were that number of failed signatures, or was that the number reported by all of the counties in Arizona?
So, Madam Chair, Senator Bennett, that number is based on a review of a quarter of the 1.9 million envelopes from the 2020 election. We used 150 trained workers that studied the Secretary of State manual and followed those guidelines. And then they analyzed each voter record individually. Once we got the statistics for that first 25% or 400,000 ballots, then it was extrapolated to determine the final number.
Those are Maricopa County.
That is just Maricopa County.
Yeah, that's the point I was going to make, Madam Chair, is I think Maricopa County alone had 2,089,563 ballots in 2020, and about 1.9 million of them were by mail. And so your group analyzed about 25% of those 1.9 million in Maricopa County, came up with a percentage that you considered to have failed signature verification, then you extrapolated to get to the 420,000.
Madam
correct?
Chair, Senator Bennett, that is correct.
Thank you.
Okay, proceed.
Wow, did you guys hear that? Did you guys hear that? They basically took a sample size. They basically took a sample size of the people who voted. And even out of that 25%, or that 25% of that they took a sample size of, that over 2 million people voted illegally. Not illegal. Listen, fam, this is crazy. And because when I tell you that it's by design, it's definitely by design, family. This is definitely by design. And this is why this important is need to be called out, because if the Biden administration is going to allow illegal immigration inside this country and the American people don't stand up, especially foundational Black Americans, what we know that is done to our cities and towns. And I'm telling you, it's coming to a city near you. In the state of Illinois, Governor Pritzker already stated that his state is at capacity. That is what he stated. He stated that his state is at capacity. And that's why there's bold legislation being passed. They're basically stating right here that if illegal immigrant, by any chance is drinking and driving and get caught, they're going to deport them. Let me let you guys hear this very quickly.
Final passage here, as members have been considering legislation allowing for the deportation of non-citizens who are convicted of driving under the influence. It's one of 4 immigration policy bills the House Republican leaders have brought to the floor this week. The White House opposes the measure.
Of this vote, the yeas are 274, the nays are 150. The bill is passed.
Final passage here.
And I get it, family. I understand that people are going to think that this is going to be very, very divisive, very discriminatory. And in some regards, it is. But they're trying to push and sign very bold legislation in order to get this country back to where it was. We have violence on the uprise. Let me show you guys. There's a lot that's going on right now that I think you guys need to be very, very aware. Listen to this, family.
on NYPD officers in Times Square have reportedly fled to another sanctuary hotbed, California. Remember these people that the governor of New York now says she wants to deport? They were arrested and then released without bail. The New York.
Oh no. I thought you guys was a sanctuary city. I thought you guys was a sanctuary state. Don't call off the dogs now.
4 fled to another sanctuary hotbed, California. Remember these people that the governor of New York now says she wants to deport? They were arrested and then released without bail. The New York Post cover with a mockery of justice. And this part, one of those suspects graphically playing to the local news cameras on his way out of jail. In addition to 7 already arrested, police say that they are looking for at least 6 more. And many are asking why the judge did not set bond for any of those suspects. If those suspects end up in California, they will be entitled to a treasure trove of benefits. Housing assistance, food stamps, cash payouts, free health care, financial aid for college. Taxpayers footing the bill for all of it.
Wait a minute. So you telling me that nobody has money for foundational Black Americans? Nobody has money for foundational Black Americans, but they're rolling out the red carpets to illegal immigrants. To illegal immigrants, they're rolling out the red carpet to illegal immigrants, but you don't have reparations for foundational Black Americans. See, when Biden came in office, he rolled back every executive, every legislation that Trump passed to protect the country against illegal immigration. Because shortly after Biden took office, he signed an executive order to reverse several of former President Trump's immigration policies. And how do you think that has hurt or helped the country? And I told you guys, a lot of this started with Obama with DACA, and people was calling this out. Eventually, it's coming to a city near you. And guess where they always put them at? Guess where they always put them at? They put them in the Black cities, the majority Black ran states, because they're going to further undermine Black folk. And then slowly but surely it started trickling into the middle class white neighborhoods. And that's where it is now. And that's why other people are starting to stand up. But see, we was already suffering from the effects of illegal immigration. And some of you may not think that a lot of the illegal immigrants are not taking jobs under $20 an hour. Yeah, they are. They're taking jobs at $5 an hour. They're going to replace you with 2. They're going to replace you with 2. Think it's a game. This is not a game. This is serious business in America. And this was all planned by the Biden administration. Allegedly. Because again, some of the things that Trump, when he was in office, he signed a proclamation on ending discriminatory bans on the entry to the United States. But what did Biden do? He did an immigration reform proposal that introduced an immigration reform proposal of the U.S. Citizen Act of 2021. Now, we understand that this particular act has not been passed into law, but it's giving way within the Senate and also the House. So when we look at these things, family, we have to understand them because this was planned. Biden administration, he's taken steps to recalibrate the immigration enforcement priorities and weakening the border, focusing on issues that pose a national security. So we're talking about all these legal drugs and guns and people who are smuggling children inside the country for sex work. How you think all of these things are getting inside the country? Now get it, family. You don't just have Hispanics or Latinos coming through the border illegally. No. And matter of fact, statistics show that the illegal immigrants from Mexico who are Mexican have declined. And that other Latin countries have increased. Some of the ones you know, some of the ones you may not know. Honduras, Costa Rica, Colombia, and Venezuela. They have increased while Mexican citizens have decreased. And let's not forget about Asians, mostly Chinese as well as India. Let's not forget about Haitians. Everybody is coming through the border. And so some of these policies that they're proposing, some of these policies that they're passing is going to be discriminatory. Because guess what? Could I be Haitian? I could be Haitian. If I'm down there by the border, they can just pull me over and then that I'm an illegal immigrant until proven otherwise. That leads into harassment. That leads into discriminatory acts. A lot of things can occur out of certain legislation. So we have to be very careful of the legislation that we're supporting, that we come through, because it can be very biased for everyone. It can be very biased for everyone. These things, and here's the thing. I know you guys saw when they was showing these 4 illegal immigrants brutalize a cop. These 4 illegal immigrants brutalized the cop, and I think it's important that we point these things out, because for some strange reason, there are some people on the right that don't believe that black folk want police. Wait a minute. I want the police. I just want non-white supremacist police officers. Okay, I want non-racist police officers. I want good police. I want justice. When I call the police because there is a situation or a violent act that's happening in my neighborhood or towards me, I want good policemen to show up and disperse the situation. The problem is we have a lot of white supremacist race soldiers with badges that give other good police a bad rap, give them a bad name. And then unfortunately, a lot of these race soldiers with badges are either white or white looking or white Hispanics and Asians. And even some black folk. Yeah, I told you on this channel, we speak the truth, family. So for anybody who are not used to this, here we go. That's for the people with sensitive ears. Because we have to break down a lot of things in order for people to understand where we're coming from. Because let me tell you, family, a lot of times when these illegal immigrants come over here, they're being just as racist as the white supremacists. I did a broadcast where I was calling out white supremacist gangs and white supremacist culture in Mexico. But we're gonna look at this clip very quickly so you understand what's going on and where this information is coming out of, because it's very, very vital to this broadcast.
Lazy is crossing the border, begging for money. Lazy is sitting up here acting like you're an asylum seeker when the only thing you're doing is running to another country, standing on the plight of black people, using our laws, using our plight, using our issues to get ahead. That's lazy. Lazy is sitting up here breaking into abandoned buildings to live in. Come in this country.
That sister right there speaking with straight power. So I think there's something that I need before we get started here, family. There's some things that I need to point out. There's some things that I definitely need to point out before people get the wrong idea. For people getting the wrong idea. So let's get the record straight. I'm all for legal immigration. Okay, and let me repeat that for the guys in the back. I am for legal immigration. That's the way it should be done. Following the rules, respecting our laws, American laws, and contributing positive to our society, not negatively. Because they come over here with these white supremacist narratives and perspectives, thinking they're going to get in by the race card. But what's been happening lately? It's been a whole different story. President Biden's administration has been turning a blind eye to illegal immigration. And as I stated before, it's not by accident. This is all part of a calculated plan. Now, just look at the policies they put in place. We got the abolishment of the Remain in Mexico policy. Are you guys familiar about that? The Remain in Mexico policy, the halting of border wall construction. So when Trump came in office, he was all about protecting America, all about building the border. And here's my disclaimer. And here we go, family. Here's my disclaimer. I am not telling you to go out and vote for Trump. I am not telling you to go out and vote for Joe Biden. I am not. I'm giving you the truth, and that's it. I told you, until reparations cash payments on the board, I'm not voting anyway. And that's what we need to understand. And anybody has any questions about reparations, we can cover that too. We can cover that too. But Biden stopped the construction of the border wall. And he also weakened the ICE enforcement agents. He's basically rolling out the carpet for illegal immigrants. But who is getting hit hard the worst? Who is being affected by the most? It's the Black communities where they're dropping off illegal immigrants at. Because it's talking about limiting resources that are already stretched thin. We're talking about when people say, well, they're not taking our jobs. They are, though. They're doing construction jobs in the Black community where we have Black construction workers, but they can't get those jobs because the illegal immigrants are coming and undercutting them. And let me tell you guys something. Let me tell you what I found out personally. A lot of people are thinking that when these illegal immigrants come in the country, that they're highly skilled. No, they're not. Most of them are learning on-the-job training. Don't get me wrong. I live in Texas, family, so I know I've been to a lot of construction sites, and they would tell you, "Oh no, I don't know how." And I'm not being divisive, but they'll tell you they don't know these skills. That's why you see them handling tools. They're doing this workshop. They're doing workshops right there on the work site. And we already have Black construction workers that know the job. So when they're talking about jobs being taken away, they are being taken away. And all of these illegal people inside the country, it puts strains on our school system. It puts strains on our hospitals. And who's left to hold the bag? Black Americans who've been fighting for our piece of this so-called American pie that we created and others came after to help to build America for centuries. Let's not forget about legislation that's been fueling this fire for years. We can't talk about illegal immigration without mentioning Barack Obama and the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, also known as DACA. I'm still trying to understand the intentions behind it. It's turned into a free pass for illegal immigrants to stay in the country indefinitely by the way of their children. That is the true definition of an anchor baby, family. That's the true definition of an anchor baby. And let's not even get started on the southern border crisis. We're seeing a record number of illegal immigrant crossings. And what's being done about it? Absolutely nothing. It's almost like they want this chaos to continue until after the primaries, right? So the question that, now that we know the problem, what is the solution? It starts with holding our leaders, our politicians accountable. That we demand, the people demand stricter immigration policies. And if they're not going to propose those immigration policies, if they're not going to sign those immigration policies, if they're not going to executive order those immigration policies, then you don't support them with your vote. We need to enforce our existing laws, and we need to put the well-being of American citizens, especially the Black community, first and foremost. First and foremost. Because we've had immigration laws, family. One notable legislation act associated with immigration and immigration reform was the IRCA of 1986, the Reform and Control Act of 1986. This somewhat addressed the issue of illegal immigration by other measures, granting amnesty to certain illegal immigrants. And this has kind of started the onslaught of illegal immigration by the RCA Act. There's a lot of loopholes. And let me tell you something about government loopholes. Can I give you a very, very quick breakdown of government loopholes? Can I give you a breakdown of government loopholes? Government loopholes are also designed and planned for those who are in the age of knowledge, those who have written those laws, those regulations, whatever it may be, in order for them to exploit it, in order for them to exercise it. See, a lot of people think, oh, there's no big conspiracy. Everybody thinks this is all done by design. Well, illegal immigration was planned. Illegal immigration was planned. Can I help you guys out? Can I help you guys out? Let me help you guys remember illegal immigration by the way of reparation from your president, Joe Biden. Trying to key this up. Here we go.
Do you support reparations?
Look, let me, since I haven't spoken on this, got a chance. Number one, the reason we're the country we are is because of immigration. We've been able to cherry pick the best from every single continent. The people who come here have determination, resilience. They are ready to stand up and work like the devil. We have 24 out of every 100 children in our school today.
Hold up. I think I need to play that one more time. I want you guys to hear the question. I told you I'm beating a dead horse this year, family. I want to make sure that the people understand and know this information.
Vice President Biden, do you support reparations?
Look, let me, since I haven't spoken on this, got a chance. Number one, the reason we're the country we are is because of immigration. We've been able to cherry. They asked this man about reparations. He said immigration. I wonder, is it me? Is it me, or was that by design, or was immigration planned? He even told Black folk when he was answering the question about reparation, he's talking about immigration. You know what? I need for you guys to finish this clip with me, because I want you to understand how exciting, how motivating it was, how fiery Joe Biden was about illegal immigration. Oh, my apologies. Legal immigration.
Vice President Biden, do you support reparations?
Look, let me, since I haven't spoken on this, got a chance. Number one, the reason we're the country we are is because of immigration. We've been able to cherry pick the best from every single continent. The people who come here have determination, resilience. They are ready to stand up and work like the devil. We have 24 out of every 100 children in our school today is Hispanic. The idea that we are going to walk away and not provide every opportunity for them is not only stupid and immoral, but it's bad for America. They are the future of America, and we should invest in them. Everybody will benefit from it, every single American, and you should get used to it. This is a nation of immigrants. That's who we are. That's why we're who we are. That's what makes us different. And
I guess that didn't go well. That didn't go well at all. It didn't time well, family. It didn't time well. You know why? Because now the governor, this is the governor of Illinois, signs legislation for establishing Illinois as the most welcoming state in the nation. Here's a bunch of legislations, and he signed these orders into law, this legislation to law. And it states that the new law strengthens the Trust Act and makes Illinois the second state in the nation to require local officials to end partnerships with ICE. Listen to this. They're going to end partnerships with ICE. This is back in 2021. They're like, we don't want no partnerships with immigration enforcement agents. We're going to end that partnership because we're okay with illegal immigration. Because that is the only reason why ICE will be in partnership with the state, is to help eradicate illegal immigrants from that state and thus from the country. But they ended their partnership with ICE. This is in state legislation. So whatever Joe Biden was talking about with reparations to immigration has trickled down to states and is going to affect black people who have large enclaves of black folk first. Then it's going to trickle out to other states, California, Washington, Oregon, those so-called sanctuary states, but then it will fester the entire of America. Because you can't have an entire states, you can't have entire countries all migrate to America. You just can't do that. And the states here address hate crimes against immigrant communities, address hate crimes against immigrant communities. And this is the governor of Illinois. I wonder if the black folk there in Chicago ever receive anything close to this except the stereotypical, well, you know, all that killing and gang killing in Chicago, because that's what everybody is looking at, but they're not looking at people being brutalized and killed because of the color of their skin. Expand workplace protections for DACA recipients and create the Illinois Immigration Impact Task Force to ensure state programs and policies best serve immigrant residents. You can't make this up, family. They're literally rolling out the red carpets for people who are illegally in the country. Let me show you something else here very, very quickly. Assistance for asylum seekers. You got the Welcoming Center, Family Resource Program, Family Support Network, Emergency Housing Program, Child Care, School and Education, Food Connections, Qualified Health Center, Mental Health Support, Suicide Crisis Line, access to justice, employment authorization, protect them from immigration scams. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Holy shit, excuse my language. Oh my gosh. When have Black Americans, the ones you know and hate, the ones you know and love, ever received any support from any local, state, or federal government entity? When? I wonder. 2023, June, Governor Pritzker signs legislation providing driver's license to undocumented immigrants. Wow. American citizens can't even get driver's license. American citizens can't even get driver's license. This blows my mind every time I read it. It says, which grants undocumented immigrants the opportunity to obtain a standardized Illinois driver's license. The legislation is a significant step in eliminating the barriers to opportunity that many undocumented immigrants face. And where is this coming from, family? I didn't go to some news agency. I didn't go to some satire site. No, I didn't go there. I went to illinois.gov. That's where I went. That's where I got this information. So we understand that that was done in June of 2023, right? You guys are with me? Look how time tells. This is November of 2023. Governor Pritzker's plan to improve asylum seeker emergency response. An additional $160 million via the Illinois Department of Human Services to address the ongoing humanitarian crisis presented by the arrival of 24,000 asylum seekers from the U.S. southern border. What are they talking about? What are they talking about? To address the ongoing humanitarian crisis. What humanitarian crisis? Is people coming to this country because legislation by, look, I'm gonna sound like a conservative, like from the liberals, from the left, have literally taken our tax dollars as American citizens to fund these people. And as I told you, this was planned. Why? Remember early in the broadcast, I was showing you clips of how undocumented illegal immigrants were voting. See, I'm not getting into this was Donald Trump, Joe Biden, these were manufactured votes. No, I'm giving you the facts. I'm giving you the truth. They actually extrapolated 25% of Maricopa County, and those people didn't have documentation. They were Hispanic. They didn't have documentation, and they voted. Now, I don't know who they voted for. I think you guys already know. Let's get into it. Welcome, 30 million. They're going to take 30 million to stand up a large intake center to essentially welcome illegal immigrants. Shelter, $65 million. Good job, Illinois. Good job. Give away your whole entire city. Independence, $65 million, and increased funding to expand a wraparound service. Now, I don't know what a wraparound service is. You know how you just read part of something, you're like, what's a wraparound service? You reach around and wipe it off. Listen, the wraparound service in the state currently provides a city shelter which enables new arrivals to live independently. The announcement builds on $478 million in state funding that has been provided or committed to the asylum seeker response over last year's fiscal year and this fiscal year. So I'm only going to give you guys facts with a little bit of black bias. That's all I'm going to do. That's all I'm going to do because it's 2024. And in great form, the governor of Illinois said, Pritzker begs for Texas Governor Abbott to stop sending migrants as new census figures show 45,000 more asylum seekers arrive in Chicago than previously reported. Governor Abbott is petty. Let me tell you, he's petty. He like, oh, you guys are sanctuary cities? We're going to send them there. New York, Chicago, Colorado, Washington, we're going to send them there. Now, we have to understand there's two sides of a coin. Why is Governor Abbott sending them to Illinois and New York? Why is Governor Abbott sending them to New York City and Chicago? Why to those specific cities? Now, Illinois, if I'm not wrong, if I can recall correctly, is a sanctuary state. Now, as I told you before, they have always dropped off immigrant groups in black communities. White community don't want them, so they drop them off in the black community, which further undermines black folk. As the lady said, they come over here and they're talking about we're lazy, and she told them what lazy really is. Because we have a rich history in this country, and if non-black people don't understand that, then please do your history as we know American history, which encompasses black history as well. And that's not being divisive. That's not being divisive. I just want to give the history as we see it. I want to see history as we see it, because let me tell you something about Governor Pritzker. And I might be pronouncing his name, because we're gonna break him down very quickly here. Oh yeah, we're gonna break him down very quickly here. I want you guys to hear him speak, because nobody's stating now. He calls for aid to address the migrant influx. We need help from the White House. We need help. We need help from the White House. Do you now? Do you now? I thought you didn't need any help. I thought you didn't need any help. I thought you need any help. But now he needs help with all the illegal immigrants inside of his state. With all the illegal immigrants inside of his state, he needs help. He needs assistance. After you open the doors, the most welcoming state in the union, you open the doors and now you're crying foul. Because people are sending the immigrants that you called for, but we're gonna get into it.
He's joining us this morning from Chicago. Governor, thank you for joining us. Of course, we should say, in order to do many of the things you and the mayor are asking for, we need a Congress to legislate. And to legislate, you need a Speaker of the House, and we are stuck. So at the moment, though, I want to understand what it is that you're asking President Biden to do, because you had a pretty sharply worded letter this past week talking about the federal government's lack of intervention and coordination, creating an untenable situation in Illinois. Did the White House respond? Have they fixed your problem?
Well, thanks and good morning, Margaret. Let me also begin by sending our condolences, and our hearts are with the people of Israel at this moment, the families of those who died, and also the people who've been kidnapped and taken hostage by these terrorists. So the United States stands with Israel, and so does the state of Illinois, and so do I personally. Let me answer your question by saying that we were very clear in our communication with the White House that what we need is logistical support, that is help deciding where these folks ought to go, because they can't all go to Chicago and New York and DC. They need to go in places where there's even more help to offer. We, of course, are a welcoming state and have been caring for the people who've arrived, but we can't bear the burden only ourselves.
Where do they go?
So we communicate that. Well, let me also say that the White House has been told, we need resources, and you talk about the Congress being in chaos. The House of Representatives is opposed to any kind of comprehensive immigration reform. It seems like now is the moment to talk about border security and immigration reform. We want immigrants in the United States. We also want border security. It seems like there's a compromise there.
Okay.
Am I missing something? He said that we want immigrants in the country. I'm all for legal immigration, but when is he going to say legal immigration? When is he going to say legal immigration? That's what I'm trying to find out, family. When is he going to say legal immigration? Then he started off by saying his heart goes out to all the, Israeli families that they're suffering from the Hamas-Israeli conflict. But he said nothing about the innocent Palestinians that are being killed haphazardly, that are not involved or a part of Hamas. So again, my thing is, I'm just speaking the truth. I'm not stating that he shouldn't have said what he said, but this said on both sides, because there's a lot of atrocity and people getting killed and murdered who are innocent to the conflict, who are not a part of the Israeli army, is not part of the terrorist group Hamas. So what about all the innocent bystanders that are being killed? I digress. I just wanted to point that out. But then he goes in and sends a very sharply worded letter to the White House, asking for support. But just 2 years ago, you stated that you have the most welcoming state, that you opened the doors to illegal immigration. You've given undocumented illegal immigrants driver's license and support. We went down a whole laundry list of all the benefits that you receive in your state as an illegal immigrant. That's what we've got. All the stuff that you are giving out from your state funds, from your people. That's what we're getting from you. So don't act like this is new. But let me tell you what's going on, fam. There's some other things going on. I don't know if you guys are aware of this as well. Let me get you guys caught up.
Policy evicting migrants after 60 days has been extended once again. The mayor says those migrants who are set to leave in January now have until mid-March. This is the city is spending well over $1 million a day on its migrant mission. Hundreds of migrants faced eviction on February 1st from shelters as part of the city's 60-day eviction policy. But at the urging of several alderpersons and mutual aid groups, the mayor is extending the deadline for a third time. Mid-March is the new date for the first wave of new arrivals who received eviction notices originally set for January.
But we want to give every person and every single family that has come to our city enough time to process their work authorization, find housing.
The city says there are over 5,600 new arrivals who will be evicted on March 16th. Checkpoint assessments will be given 2 weeks before their exit, and there will be exceptions if people need to stay longer.
The general categories for extension that are eligible include progress to permanent or stable housing, severe weather conditions, disability, pregnancy or maternal health, gender-based violence, medical isolation, and bereavement.
As for finding housing after migrants leave shelters, the mayor says there are more people at the shelters helping new arrivals move on.
Whether it's through Catholic Charities or new life, that there are far more people who are available to help families.
This man is getting me sick to my stomach. They're extending their evictions that they put in place of the shelters that they're overrunning. This is going to be a continuous thing. And they're stating, oh, it's too cold to let them out of, oh gosh.
Families resettle as fast as possible.
Meantime, the migrant mission is costing the city $1.5 million a day. The city has only allocated $150 million for the entire year. Johnson continues to plead for more federal help, but Donald Trump is urging House Republicans to not support a bipartisan immigration bill in the Senate. Governor J.B. Pritzker weighed in on the lack of federal action.
I think it's a sad fact that the Republicans are walking away from the table when they've got the deal that they wanted on the table. And the fact that they're walking away just tells you that this was all about politics from day one.
Now, as for that new March eviction date, the mayor did say they will continue.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, family. He said that, wait a minute, aren't you a welcoming state? No one was talking this sort of language in 2021, were they? Was anyone talking like this? Was any Democratic ran state governor talking like this in 2021? They were literally opening their borders to everyone. They stopped the wall and everybody, oh, the wall is stupid, the wall is dead. We're supposed to be the most powerful country in the world with the weakest borders in the world. I've been over 45 countries, family. I served this nation. I've been to over 45 countries. And some of these third world countries got some of the toughest borders that you will ever want to go through. I mean, for the most part, they try to extort you in some countries, but nonetheless, it's not easy. Then you have to literally risk your life in order to get in or get out of the country. You have to go to the Swiss Alps Mountains and Mount Kilimanjaro to get over it. Not just America. You just can't go over a little river, a little lake, a little pond and get over into America. No. You got to damn near risk your life to get in some of these other countries, or they got borders, or they got troops at the borders. America is our asset. So we have to protect it. We don't want anyone who's illegal in the country. We've seen an uptick in violence. We've seen an uptick in overpopulated cities and towns. Yes. He said that we want immigrants inside of our country. Last time I checked, I want legal immigrants inside of the country. You have to listen to what these people are not saying, family. What they're not saying. Some people are so tied to the words, the emotions of what they are saying. No one is paying attention to what they're not saying. As I stated, he was talking about immigration, but he wasn't even talking about legal immigration. He didn't say legal immigration. He just said immigration. And this is something else I want to point out to you guys. They have thousands. It's roughly 1 million Black Americans on the street, homeless. But they don't have any room for them. Oh no, they don't have any room for them. But they have emergency shelters for migrants. They have emergency shelters for illegal immigrants. That's what they have. That's what they have for them, but not for our people. And not even for the non-Black folk who are homeless. The American citizens. Let's throw a coat over it. Let's just throw a big umbrella over it. The American people. But they got it for everybody else.
I'd look at a community center in Roxbury that's now been transformed into an emergency shelter for migrant families that have been sleeping at the airport. Hundreds of beds now cover the indoor track and soccer fields where neighborhood children usually play. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Wade.
And I'm Lisa Hughes. Dozens of families are set to move into the shelter any moment now. WBZ's Beth Germano is in Roxbury tonight, where the community is torn over this plan.
It's been a quick conversion for the Melnia Cass Recreational Center in Roxbury. Beds and sleeping bags, play spaces, bathrooms and other necessities, all to help migrant families arriving in large numbers in the state.
It's going to house up to 400 individuals right now.
Governor Healy began discussing the idea a week ago. Moved by the recent plight of families, many now camping out at Logan Airport and a state shelter system stretched to the limit.
We're here today because we really don't have a choice.
And none of us should stand by while women, children, and families sleep outside or in an airport who look like us.
Shame on Healy! Shame
on... Look like who? Oh, okay, I'm just asking for a friend. I just had to point that out. Don't take that the wrong way, family. I just point out look like who, that look like us. I don't know who she's talking about, but yeah. But this is what I want you guys to understand about America in general. I need to make up a new party called the Neutralists or something like that. I'm very neutral because no one is really talking about this either, right? There's a couple of things that I want to get off my mind very quickly. One, the power of an executive order. Now, somebody pointed out that Elon Musk stated that the president can just do an executive order to secure the border, and he can. I pointed that out a long time ago, Elon. Ain't like I know him, but I pointed out a long time ago that the power of the executive order. Now, what Congress can do, Congress can write legislation. Congress can write legislation to basically bind or disclose or void the executive order that the president has written. Congress can write legislation and void the executive order that the president has signed. But then what can the president do? He has veto power. Boom, there you go. Boom, there you go. He has veto power. So don't let no one tell you that the president doesn't have the power, that he got to do this bipartisan deal that everybody's waiting to get signed. He really doesn't have to wait. He really doesn't have to wait. He can send 15,000 troops to the border right now. He can send 15,000 troops to the border right now. But is he doing that? Absolutely not. He is not sending troops to the border right now. So we have an uptick in violence. We have illegal immigrants putting the middle finger after they assault a police officer. We have them in the black community calling black folk the same white supremacist tropes that a stereotypical white supremacists do in America. And let me just make a separation. Here it is, family. You have white supremacists in the country, and I broke down what white supremacy is in earlier the broadcast. Then you have people who actually benefit from the system of white supremacy by the way of white privilege. Then you just have white people, or as I know them as, good white people, okay? Because not all people are bad, but the stereotypical that the media has painted the brush on a wide spectrum for black folk, that we're the criminal class, that we're the lazy class, that we're the killing class, that the only thing we can do is get on top of police cars and shake our butts. That's not who we are. That's not our culture. That's why I broke down a lot of our American inventors and the many things that we did and the many things that we've done. Because these violent acts that are occurring out here, family, now who is the face of crime in America? Who is the face of crime in America now? I don't hear anyone talking. I don't hear anyone talking about Chicago and Detroit. I don't hear it anymore.
4 of the suspects in that vicious attack on NYPD officers in Times Square have reportedly fled to another sanctuary hotbed, California. Remember these people that the governor of New York now says she wants to deport? They were arrested and then released without bail. The New York Post cover with a mockery of justice. And this part, one of those suspects graphically playing to the local news cameras on his way out of jail. In addition to 7 already arrested, police say that they are looking for at least 6 more. And many are asking why the judge did not set bond for any of those suspects. If those suspects end up in California, they will be entitled.
Here's the problem with this, family, that we just have to point out. Artist says research, Mayor of New York City said some time ago he was looking to allow them to vote. This is his plan. This is what I'm referring to. Because going back to Joe Biden's original reparation speech, he talked about illegal immigration, did he not? Did he not talk about illegal immigration? He talked about illegal immigration. So here we go.
We begin with the new controversial border security law just signed by Governor Greg Abbott within the last hour. It'll soon be a state crime for migrants to cross into Texas illegally.
We know this has been coming. Our political reporter Jack Fink here now with what the governor's saying about it today, along with reaction. Jack?
Well, Doug and Karen, in all, Governor Abbott just signed 3 bills into law. Senate Bill 4 is the legislation that's attracted the most headlines in Texas and across the country because it allows the state to enforce immigration. The ACLU of Texas vowed again this afternoon to take the state to court over this as soon as possible. The governor held the event at a construction site for the state's border wall in Brownsville. He also signed Senate Bill 3, which gives the state another $1.5 billion to expand the barrier in an effort to keep people from illegally crossing into the state. As for Senate Bill 4, if a person is caught entering the state away from the legal port of entry, he or she would be charged with a Class B misdemeanor and then could either choose to return to Mexico or face prosecution. Critics, including the ACLU of Texas, have said the courts have ruled only that the federal government has jurisdiction over immigration laws. The governor said today the border is a dangerous place and that the Biden administration has left the state with no choice.
The Border Patrol recently warned to take extreme caution when it learned that 10 IEDs were found just across the border.
Wow.
The FBI director warned that the border poses a threat to national security. Biden's deliberate inaction has left Texas to fend for itself.
So our goal in filing quickly, by which I mean in the coming weeks.
Wow. 10 IEDs, family. And if you guys are familiar with the military, you guys know what IEDs are. They're nasty bombs. They're really nasty bombs that they found right across the border. And even the FBI was stating that is a matter of national security. That is a matter of national security. It says signs bills making illegal immigration a state crime. Can you guys believe that where a governor of a state has to put into legislation that people illegal in the country is illegal in the state? Does that make any sense to anyone except me? Like, I have to do legislation for my own state because the federal government, where we pay taxes to, supposed to protect the American people and secure the borders, north and south, east and west. Me as a governor has to sign legislation to stop illegal immigration and make it a state crime. This is, wow, that is crazy to me. That is crazy to me. That is crazy to me that you have to go to this length to sign legislation. Wow. Wow, that's crazy. Maybe I'm the only one who finds that just very, very astonishing. You have to find it very astonishing because now people are speaking about World War III because Texas can't block federal agents from the border. That's why. Because Texas cannot block federal agents from the border. So here's my dilemma, family. Maybe a lot of you guys took, I don't know, world history, political science, immigration. Maybe you guys took some of these classes. I don't know. But if my state is on the border, where does the border of Texas actually begin? Right? They say the Rio Grande River or whatever, but where's the Texas border? Is the Texas and American border the same line or they're separate? Is it the American border, then 10 feet is the Texas border? I'm just asking. I want to be educated on the border. Because once you cross the border, you're in the United States. And when you come into the United States, you're in the state of Texas. So where does the American-Texas state border begin and end? Where does it? I don't know. I want the word of the people to educate me, because if you cross over into America and you in Texas, then why can't I secure my border? Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm reading this all wrong. That's what it is. I'm reading this all wrong. I'm trying to figure out, what's legal and what's illegal. They made this situation very complex, but it's very simple. Because illegal immigration was planned, family. And if you don't see that, hopefully that all the evidence and information that you guys are receiving right now will assist you and help you to understand what's going on here in America. Maybe I have enough evidence here not to convince you, not to coerce you, for you to be conflicted about illegal immigration, but for you to understand it. Because if it hasn't affected you yet, I'm pretty sure it's coming to a city near you. Because it's very important to recognize the factors driving illegal immigration. Because on one hand, they're very complex. On another, it's very simple. And it's interconnected with the border economics, border social and geopolitical issues, all of those things. Because as I told you, majority of these people are doing what we call economic migration. They're coming over here for the benefits. They're coming over for the jobs. And by the way of the Biden administration, the Democrats, the liberals, they're taking a whole new voter base, millions of people. Think about that, family. Could 10 million people inside the country not accounted for have the ability to vote? Can that sway a presidential election? I'm just asking. I don't know. Could it sway a presidential election? You know it can. Because all the solution here, it requires a very comprehensive approach that considers not only enforcement measures, but also addressing the root causes. Why these people are coming over here. And I hate to tell you this, not only because of the benefits, but we have to look at it from a systemic problem within their countries. The economic inequality and violence and instability in these countries that they come from. See, we can send troops. We can send troops and support and money and billions of dollars to Ukraine. But we won't send troops to Venezuela to stabilize their government so their people can live in their country and build there, instead of undermining American citizens, especially foundational Black Americans. But maybe people don't want to hear my word for it. Maybe sometimes people just need to see it, right? Seeing is believing. Is that what they tell you? They tell you that seeing is believing, do they not? But sometimes you just got to see a thing in order to believe it.
Marching on. This video capturing the largest caravan in more than a year. An estimated 8,000 men, women, and children in Chiapas, Mexico, near Guatemala. All of them headed north. Organizers say the group swelled by nearly 2,000 people in a single day. Many hoping for a better life. Many more road-weary and exhausted. The caravan moving as the Mexican president welcomes U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken. The Mexico City meeting set for later today, expected to focus on the unprecedented irregular migration and border security between the neighboring countries. The visit following a recent phone call between President Biden and Mexico's leader.
The two leaders agreed that additional enforcement actions are urgently needed.
It comes as the number of migrants in cities across the country are reaching record levels, with New York City seeing up to 4,000 people arriving each week. Local shelters and services overwhelmed and struggling to keep up.
We have no more room in the city.
Meanwhile, on the ground in Eagle Pass, a surprising lull in crossings Tuesday, following a record-breaking week, where thousands of migrants lined the banks of the Rio Grande, and processing took hours, if not days. Outside a shelter, we met Osmani, Marian, and Edison.
Donde van ahora? Where are you going now?
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma?
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles?
Dallas.
Marian from Venezuela says she's now waiting until her asylum hearing.
Para cruzar.
After a 5-month journey here, she describes similarly to so many other migrants we've heard from. A dangerous, potentially deadly track that in her mind is worth it.
And Morgan, of course, we're heading into some colder months now. In fact, we're already really...
Wow, wow, wow. Let me tell you, family. Let me tell you. They're just coming in here. They say, I'm going to Oklahoma, I'm going to Los Angeles, I'm coming to Dallas. And I live close to Dallas. And I'm not saying everybody is coming in. Listen, I'm not stating that these people are bad. I don't want to be divisive here, family. I'm not stating that these people are bad at all. I'm just stating that they're in the country illegally, and they need to come to the country by legal means. That's all I'm stating. I'm for legal immigration, not illegal immigration. Fair use. All video clips, media material was used in the jurisdiction of fair use and public domain. Just in case somebody try to flag the video. You know how they do, family. But here's the thing. American citizens are not against legal immigration. We are against illegal immigration because we have noticed there's been an uptick in violence. There's been an uptick in theft. All these retail that they try to paint black people, they try to paint black people as the face of all these retail snatch and grabs. Had they done them, I've probably seen a black person, yeah, but majority, had they started stating that a lot of these people were illegal immigrants. That's what they're stating. Now they're beating up police officers. They're putting a strain on the American economy. And if you guys don't think this was done and planned, all the evidence that are being shown here this evening, then I don't know what else to show you, family. Because there's just so much to cover on this, because now the Democrats are feeling the pain. Good. But this doesn't mean you go out and vote. This doesn't mean that you go out and vote for Biden. This doesn't mean you go out and vote for Trump. Vote for what you want. Because I told you, we can vote, Black Americans, we can vote for a lot of things. We can vote for a lot of things. We could bring up old issues against Biden, saying that his kids don't want to live in a racial jungle. We can bring that up. We can bring up the 1994 crime bill. We can bring that up. We can bring up when he said,
listen, you got to come see us when you come to New York, VP Biden.
I will.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
We can bring up all those things, okay? Okay? And we understand that Donald Trump is a bigot. And I know there's a lot of MAGA people out there, so hey, just take it for what it is. Take it for what it is. It's proven that he's had a lot of discriminatory practices and a lot of his properties, okay? He never stood down on the Central Park 5, even though they was deemed innocent after all those years spent in jail because of DNA. But no one's talking about those things that Donald Trump never stepped down. Oh, you used to hang out with rappers and he was charged with The Apprentice and stuff like that. No. But I tell you this, family, if Donald Trump come up with cash payment reparations, I'm voting for him. If Joe Biden comes up with cash payment reparations, I'm voting for him. And I know a lot of you are like, but what about illegal immigration? Well, let me tell you about a people who's been in this country, who is foundational to this country, who's been carrying all the discriminatory acts, all the violent, racist, supremacist acts that has been at the economic floor by design, by drowning and burning our cities and towns, and then tell us to lift ourselves up by our own bootstraps. And as every time we do these things, we get knocked back down by some way or another. And it usually comes from state and federal legislations. So that's just the truth of the matter. That's why I had to put the trigger warner up, family. That's going to trigger a lot of people who have already made up their mind who they're going to vote for. And as you should. But I told you here on BlackLogic, we want to speak the truth. We don't want to just trigger people by doing really fancy zinger terms or anything like that. We want to provide actual evidence and proof to the people so they understand why Black Americans are in the state that they are in now. We just didn't get here by ourselves. We had a whole hell of a help. We've had a lot of freaking help, family. We've had a lot of freaking help in the positions that we are. So when you guys look on TV and the media just blasts black faces as the crime of America, why are these people in the conditions that they are in? Does anybody ever ask themselves those questions? Does anybody ever ask themselves that question? And then I look at other groups that come to America. Then I look at other groups that come to America, not just the illegal immigrants, family, not just the legal immigrants. Because you'll have people from all over the world say, my family came here 15 years ago with 5 cents in their pocket, and now we're multimillionaires. And then when you start looking at all the benefits that legal immigrants and illegal immigrants receive, you wonder why. Then they'll tell you where you got those benefits too. Why every time my people apply for them, they get denied? But guess what? Majority of black folk don't want to depend on the system. That makes America more of a welfare state. It makes America more of a socialist state. Because if you think that America is not a welfare state, as any illegal immigrant in the country, as any illegal immigrant in the country, if America's a welfare state. Universal health care would have been it. We would definitely just been a socialist country. I mean, you got TAF, you got SSI, you got all sorts of government benefits that goes to other people. And then anytime you bring up Obama to certain black folk, and they didn't understand he didn't do anything, he did everything for everybody else. I said, well, Obama was America's president. He couldn't do something just for black people. And I say, what? He couldn't do something just for black people? What? You shitting me? Obama administration earmarks $12 million for Holocaust survivors. Wait a minute, where was the Holocaust at? And this is what they said, family. This is what they said. With this award, we'll be able to advance our efforts to provide crucial services to vulnerable survivors, including those living in poverty, those in the Orthodox Jewish community, and those from the former Soviet Union. And that these people are our mothers and fathers and our teachers and our mentors. They deserve to live their remaining years in dignity. And this award will make that a reality. And by the way, this is ongoing assistance. This is not just a stipend. It's not just one mark of earmark money. That is ongoing money that Biden has even backed up. Oh yeah, Biden proposed a U.S. aid for Holocaust survivors. Let me show you something though. That's what they put in the title. And I told you, this is not, because a lot of people say, well, we understand money for the people who the direct harm occurred to. And I say, well, what about Native Americans? Those atrocities that happened to the Native Americans, they're long past and gone away. Their descendants are receiving reparations from this country. Their descendants are receiving reparations from this country. Jewish leaders welcomed Biden's proposal and said proudly that the administration is expected to announce that it will request money in the federal budget next year to help survivors. Although the amount has not been settled upon, it is said to be as little as $5 million, as much as $10 million or $15 million. We're doubling and tripling down. Let me move on. Here's some more legislation. Joe Biden's support for Holocaust survivors and the Jewish community is second to none. Let me show you what it states. Survivors, their descendants, survivors and their descendants. In case you guys on your cell phone, hooking this up for you guys to entertain you. I don't want to entertain you. I just want to give you the information as I know it. I read this article the other day, and basically the writer who was putting on the cape to give Jewish people reparations throughout the world, mostly from Germany. By the way, the U.S. from federal funding from Obama to Biden. He was basically saying how reparations for Black Americans would be divisive. Reparations for us would be divisive. That's basically what this whole article was stating. Listen, I went through it, family. I'm not going to go through it with you. I highlighted a couple of things. When HR 40 was first introduced in 1989, and Sheila Jackson Lee picked it back up in 2019. Yeah, I went this entire, it's just a long article about how he doesn't support reparations for Black Americans, but he did for Jewish Americans. But he never said their descendants. He never said their descendants, family. And in this case, you guys didn't see the legislation. Here's the legislation. And I even highlighted a couple of parts here for you. As he said before, to live their remaining years in dignity, and this will make them a reality. They're getting the support, they're getting the need, they're getting the support that they need by the way of this administration. By the way of this administration. I see some of your comments here. Thanks for everybody for joining me here this evening. I see my mod in the room. Thank you, Jermaine Anderson. Blacks for RFK, Phyllis Clark. Hello from Wyoming. We got Life Inquiries, MIA. Ricky Manor, thanks you for supporting me, brother. Go check out Ricky Manor's channel. Very powerful brother himself. Artist. Yeah, family, we're just gonna we're gonna really just speak the facts here this evening, because I think it's utterly important. Now, for you guys who are non-Black, I like to point out in the earlier this broadcast, I did a breakdown of the reason why we do not go by the term of African American, why we go by the term of Black American. Also, I went over, because someone stated in the comment section that they didn't understand what white supremacy was. I broke down what white supremacy is, and that it still exists, and that it's still affecting all of us. Just in case somebody missed it. And let me tell you guys something else. Here's the reason. Here's one of the many reasons why I stopped going to the Black church. Now, as I told people before, I believe in a higher power, but this is one of the reasons why I stopped going to the Black church. Can I show you guys this really quickly? If you don't mind, let me show you this very quickly. This is why I don't go to the church, because I don't know what the church is anymore. I don't know what the church is anymore. I have no idea what the church is. I have no idea what the church is today. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a sanctuary. I don't know if it's a place of worship. I don't know if it's a club. I don't know if it's a bar. I don't know what the Black church is today. That's why the agenda and the code is the leader. No tangibles, no vote. Because when you go to church and they indoctrinate you, and they have presidents and political officials who come up and talk to Black people to use the power of the sanctuary, the power of the pulpit to influence the people to vote one way and stay dumb and ignorant of what the construct and their current conditions that they're living in. This is what the hell I get. This is what I get. That's where the Black church has turned into. It has turned into a club. I thank you all for joining me here today. Please subscribe to the channel. Please like and share. Thank you all for joining me here today. This is BlackLogic. Thank you, family. You guys have a great and wonderful evening. Be one.